John say lateral? I would agree with John.
Maybe two.
Because
I would
I'm
agree.
just, the medial aspect of the the calcaneus is moving medially. It's opposite, so it's moving laterally, so I'm going to do a lateral glide. So I'm going to do the right ankle, so I'm going to have Becky lay on her right hip, facing the crew. Oh, you know, I'll do distraction first. Sorry, I jumped the gun. Sit in a long sit again. Just turn it towards me. So what? Subtalar, right? Talus, calcaneus. I'm going to actually go below the malleoli now because I want to stabilize the talus. Correct? I want to move the calcaneus off of the talus. So I'm going to. She has a petite foot. I have a huge hand. No, not really. But I got to try to grab the calcaneus, and I'm just going to pull towards me with my left hand by stabilizing the talus. So I'm going to try to somehow try to get a hold of that calcaneus, and I'm just going to distract away from the talus. Okay? Pretty straightforward. Okay, let's have her go back into side lying on the right hip. That was pure distraction. So if I do pure distraction, actually, what movements am I trying to increase of that joint?
Inversion. Eversion.
Which one?
Eversion. Yeah, eversion.
Oh,
Yeah.
just say all.
All the above.
When in doubt, say distraction. I'm increasing all ranges of motion of that joint. Because if you say, oh, I forget which one, just say all. If I put it on the quiz, it'll be all. Most likely I'll put something about distraction, because some of you guys forgot about distraction. Okay, so if I'm going to do... Christian? No, I'm just kidding. Let's see, I'm doing subtalar. Okay, David, where do you think my the hand that stabilizes should go on this glide?
Talus.
On the talus, right? Because we don't want the talus moving around, because that's the joint most proximal. And the distal aspect, Erica, what am I trying to move? What am I trying to move? Starts with a C. Calcaneus. So I'm going to try to stabilize. Oops. Lost her leg. I mean towel. I got below the lateral and the medial malleoli. Stabilize. I'm going to try to cup, and I probably would get up on the table so I have better leverage. And I'm just going to push down with my palm on that calcaneus. Now, it's not very, and how much movement do we have in the subtalar? What's the range of motion, Ashley?
For eversion and inversion?
Yeah.
It's 25 and 30.
So, but this actually part of the joint, I'm going to take her word for it. Okay? But this part doesn't move very much. So should I expect a lot of joint play?
No.
No, unless I have some joint laxity in the ligaments. So that's to increase inversion. Let's talk about, if we're doing eversion, I'm going to have her lay on her other hip. And we're going to have it hang off the side. I'm going to do it I think I would actually do it on this side. I think it has them in prone. Why would I probably want to do it in prone versus this way?
Because you can damage the knee.
Well, it's not on a good line. So I am going to put you in on prone.
Would you put a pillow between the legs if they couldn't lay prone?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I would probably put a pillow or two as necessary. And a medial glide, I'm going to do a medial glide. So from the posterior aspect, I'm going to stabilize the talus. Calcaneus with the palm, I'm going to push her into a medial glide. Try to distract, but there's not a lot of movement. You're not going to feel a lot. Now, with the subtalar mob, be careful. I'm a prime example. Don't take a patient who's had an ankle sprain or torn ligament, the anterior talofib ligament, you can sprain their ankle. So you got to really stabilize
Resistance.
and make sure. Say, have you ever sprained your ankle? Because I'm gonna take my. I took my shoes off a little earlier so I could. You can feel that I don't have an anterior talofib ligament. You can palpate and you're going to go, there's nothing there, Lee. So what we'll do is find someone who does have a anterior talofib, palpate it, then come feel it on me and you'll go, oh, there's a difference. Okay, so you should feel that difference. We'll do it today.
So when doing that with someone who has had a sprain like that, you don't want to push too hard.
Well, and I don't want to go. See, now I'm doing it here. I'm doing the whole lateral side, taking her. But if I'm doing just on the talus, I should be okay. The talus and the calcaneus. But if I'm all of a sudden taking her into a more inversion of the whole foot, that's when I'm going to snap it. All right. Any questions? All right. Let's get to it. When we're talking about the ankle, when we're doing exercises and activities of daily living, is it mostly in the open kinetic chain or the closed kinetic chain? All right, who says open? Raise your hand. Who says closed? Raise your hand. Those that said closed, you guys get a star. Because we're walking, we're moving, we're bending, we're on our feet. So it's in a closed kinetic chain. So will you do a squat for me, standing? Yeah, facing. And now, do just some mid-range squats to kind of warm up, and then do a deep squat. Just do. Now go into a deep squat and hold for just a second, and then stand up. Is her ankle in plantar flexion or dorsiflexion? Dorsiflexion. Do it again and hold for a second. Plantar flexion, dorsiflexion. Dorsi. All right, stand up. So, what direction is the glide moving again? It's going dorsiflexion. It's doing a posterior glide. So we have to think about that because when we're doing things at the ankle and the knee a lot of the time, it's in the closed kinetic chain. So we have to figure out what best exercise and what best mode to do. If I see her bending at the knee, I have to know that it's a concave on convex, but when she's squatting, it's actually a convex femur on a concave tibia. The femur is the moving part, not the tibia. Make sense? So we have to see those things. It doesn't matter. Every joint is concave and convex on one end or the other. Which end is moving? That just depends if it's opposite or the same. So, with all that being said, when we start doing exercises, you got to think, where is that moving? It's moving at this joint, but which part of the joint is moving? The distal end or the proximal end? That makes it whatever shape we've just talked about. So, all right. Distraction. I'm trying to take the talus and pull it out of the ankle mortise, trying to create more joint space. Think of it as when we were, the mob is very similar to what we did with the elbow, the ulnohumeral joint, where we do the ice cream scoop. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to palpate, I'm going to find the neck of the talus. I'm going to put my hands right over that neck. I'm going to grab underneath the foot. I'm going to do double scoop. Put my hands right on there, and basically I'm going to ice cream scoop out on the ankle. So I'm going to get a good grip. Is this the one? Okay. And then I'm just going to start a gentle pull and ice cream scoop out. And she's pretty well in neutral. If I put her more in plantar flexion, it's much harder. I'm going to slide off down onto the metatarsal. So I want her fairly neutral for him, whoever is moving. And it's a ice cream scoop, and that will take her or take the patient into at least neutral, maybe slightly dorsiflexion, and then I'm going to pull. Did you have pain when you squatted?
A little bit. It's getting a little better.
Okay. All right. joint mode 1. Distraction. Increases, who can I pick on? Cynthia. Distraction improves what motion of the joint when we do it? If I do a joint distraction, what range of motion is it? If I do grade 3 and 4, grade 3 on a distraction, what motions does it assist with or increase?
Is it the plantar section?
That's one of them. What else? When we do a joint distraction, it helps in all directions because I'm stretching the joint capsule as a whole. So it should help in every motion that joint does. It doesn't do inversion, eversion because that's only at the subtalar joint. And I haven't done the subtalar. I did the talocrural. So the talocrural, if I do an overall joint distraction, I'm helping movement in plantar flexion and dorsiflexion. That's the two motions that it performs. It's stretching the whole capsule. Okay? All right. I'm going to increase, I'm going to do a posterior glide. If I'm going to do a posterior glide, it's on page 3. I'm going to flip, since she's already in supine, I'm not going to flip her around. If I'm going to do an anterior glide, posterior glide, I'm going to increase what range of motion? Dorsiflexion. So what I'm going to do, hand on the distal tip fib, hand still, we got to find that joint space at the neck of the talus. My hand goes around that. I got to make sure I'm on the talus. I got to make sure I'm below the lateral and the medial malleol line. I'm going to try to grip as best as I can, put my hand on that neck of the talus, slight distraction, and then I'm going to push down posteriorly with my hand that's on the talus. Make sense? So slight distraction. I'm going to push down. Whoops. Unfortunately, this mat's really soft, so as I start to, I got to get her all the way to there. Painful? Is that okay? And then I'm going to push it down. And as the range increases, I have to take her more into dorsiflexion. And then I let off slowly. Ooh, little pop. Go forward. Prone. Okay, this one. You always ask. You move them around. We're doing the right leg, right? Yeah, we're doing the... I had one time, lady had bilateral knee replacement, and she had just had the right one done, and the left one had been done prior. And when we were doing something, I was working on this one because I just saw the scar. And, Lee, that's not the one I just had. Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. I'm just making sure you're paying attention. You know, making something up, but you got to pay attention. So, all right. So, anterior glide is going to increase what motion? Ryan? Plantar flexion. Okay. Same thing. Stabilizing hand goes on the distal tip fib on the posterior aspect. I'm trying to put my hand on the posterior aspect of the talus. You're going to feel the Achilles tendon. You know you're close. You don't want to go on the calcaneus. But we got to try to get on the talus. I'm going to have you slide my way an inch or two. There we go. Perfect. So I'm going to slight distraction, and then I'm pushing basically on the talus, but also on that Achilles tendon because the tendon's on the way. You'll feel a very firm tendon on the back of the leg. So slight distraction with the webbing of my hand. I am pushing down toward the floor, but it's an anterior glide. All right. And as the range of motion in plantar flexion increases, I'm going to take her into plantar flexion more and push perpendicularly. Okay? Make sense? Excellent. I want you to do those 3 glides.